Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we're back. Yes, we're as always. We're just carrying on our own conversations, and there's a show to do. The producer points at you, and you're like, I have to talk. What are we doing again? So we are having a phenomenal conversation. This is, hey, it's in my wheelhouse here. So I get easily passionate about this subject, but it impacts so many different areas of your life that you don't even realize. We're talking about ID theft. We've got some expertise in the house on that. So, if you're out there listening, you want to call in and ask some questions, it's definitely a great opportunity. 800-808-5548. That's the number here in the studio, 800-808-5548. But while we were off air, we were talking. We've got Jason Jimenez from the Jimenez Insurance Agency, and one of our awesome sponsors, absolutely an expert in his field, which is why we have him on. And
we only have experts.
And we were talking about how that identity theft touches more than just credit. People, that's their first reaction, is to think about credit identity theft, but that's just one area of many areas. And you were commenting on your side some issues that you've seen in the insurance side. Touch on a little bit what we were talking about in break.
One thing that it's not necessarily the best part of my job, but I'm typically asked to be in court at least once a quarter because either a client or someone, or as an expert witness, to be able to go and talk about a transaction in relation to identity theft. I mean, the industry has gotten so big within the last 10 years that nowadays you have insurance companies now adding identity theft coverage within their home insurance policy. It's limited, and yet the fact that a billion-dollar industry is actually going in there and adding that to your home insurance,
amazing.
You have to think about that.
No doubt.
So it's really scary. And then, as a matter of fact, even on the corporate side, businesses, whether it be a real estate firm, insurance firm, anyone who deals with Social Security numbers, date of birth, or anything that's private, from even medical insurance. We were just talking about off the air about copy machines. Your copy machine at home or at the office has a hard drive. You scan things.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we talked about it, and it was one of those things that you don't really necessarily think about that stuff. And that's the scary part. And nowadays there's processes and procedures. Even at my office, anybody who has, we deal with Social Security numbers, we deal with driver's license numbers, we deal with a lot of stuff. There is a process there, because if there isn't, then quite frankly, you know what? We don't know who we're going to affect, because we don't know where that information goes out to.
And the scary thing about it is, I talk to title companies, real estate companies, mortgage brokers all the time, and people don't realize that, of course, those big copy machines have the big hard drives too. And what kind of information do we copy? The stuff that's not important, or the stuff that's really personal? The very important stuff.
We copy all of it for one thing, but the thing is, we try to keep our agents out of the taking credit applications and things of that, and if they do, to redact all the Social Security numbers, don't copy it under the SAFE Act. You're kind of required to do a lot of things to make sure that information doesn't give out. But you get someone's Social Security number, you've got power.
We know, Rob, I always tell people, if you see information laying out, an application or a check, or how many times have you gone into the doctor's office and somebody else's driver's license, a full-blown copy of their driver's license is sitting right there in front of you. You've never met them before. Maybe a copy of their Social Security card is there, or an insurance card. It's all over the place. And you have files and files and files in the doctor's office, and they're not locked, they're not protected, they're within anybody's reach. So information is available. Recently, Michael's had that breach, 2.5-3 million people. So they just happened. Target, and it just keeps getting worse. It just keeps getting worse.
I actually had a situation where 2 weeks ago, I have a bank account with a particular bank, and I had a call twice in 1 week of a company speaking Spanish, would refuse to speak any English, and asking my staff to verify if this was the correct routing number and checking account number, because they wanted to send checks, and they were representing the bank. I'm like,
yeah,
really?
Really?
Yeah. Let me fact you avoided one.
Yeah. I'll send that right over.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times when they call somebody, it's an administration person. They just want to be compliant. They want to be helpful, things like that. And they go, "Oh, okay, I'll get that for you." So, I guess the question we're hearing this happen a lot. And Jason, you're probably running up against some fraud now too,
all the time.
And what do you do to prevent it?
Okay, so you still have to have a life, right? You don't want to be left in a position of fear, but the reality is that this world is very dangerous. From a capacity where it comes to insurance, it's all about education. It really boils down to being able to be educated.
Absolutely.
And around that capacity, it goes based on the principle. Even our office is, you're not a good client for us if you're not willing to sit down with one of our agents at least once a year, because I've said it before on the show. You're not the same person you were a year ago. Something changed. You either had somebody pass away, you had somebody newborn, you lost your job, you got a raise, whatever. All that information is that stuff of information of your life story that we need to be able to get. And within that, our office staff, our agents will sit there, be able to guide you in relations to what you can do, what you shouldn't do. And then, quite frankly, if something happens, what you need to do. So those are the facts. Some of them may be something as simple as being able to work with an individual like yourself to be able to work and understand exactly what are my rights.
Right. And it is all about education and understanding what it is that you need to protect and how you protect it. And unfortunately, in this world, even if you have a monitoring system in place, even if you shred your bills in the backyard and burn your mail,
you can still be hit.
That's right. We're never completely safe, and here's why. Think of all the places that have information the last 20, 30, 40 years on all of us: Social Security Administration, military, doctors' offices.
Your info is everywhere.
Your info is everywhere.
We have a caller on the line. Sherilyn, that's calling in. She's got a question, so we're going to go to the call. Sherilyn, are you there?
Yes, I am.
You have a question about your credit report?
Yes, I do. I was just trying to figure out why there are 3 addresses associated with me that I have no idea where these addresses are. I've never lived there, and it's on my credit report.
A number of reasons. A lot of times people have names that are similar to each other out there with the credit, and also this could be an indicator that you could be the victim of identity theft. And you want to look into this right away. Have you looked at all 4 credit reports? You've got TransUnion, you've got Equifax, Experian, and you've also have CoreLogic, which is more recently named as the Big 4. And have you checked all those reports?
I haven't checked all of them. No.
I would.
Yeah. We're both sitting here saying the same thing. Yeah, nodding our heads. Yes. One of the first things you definitely want to do. That the different addresses can be, as he first mentioned, a mixed file, a similar name pulling up with your address. A mixed file is fairly common. It does happen, kind of normally. But it's also one of those red flag things that you want to make certain there's not other more serious things going on. If it's just different addresses showing up under your name, that's a non-issue. It's not going to affect your scores or that type of thing. You'll be all right. However, if it's an indication that someone else has been playing with your credit file, it could be just the beginning of a big can of worms. So you definitely want to get on to a monitoring service or a monitoring site to where you can pull the credit bureaus to see what else is showing up and just verify or check that nothing's out of line. Okay, I appreciate that. Now, the other thing is that each credit report has their own way of reporting. I thought I had maybe a mid 600 score, but when my son and I went to get a car for him, our credit score was like under 600, and I'm like, how'd that happen?
Everybody uses the FICOs.
And there's a whole other can of worms. One of the first things that the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, wrote about after they became a big governmental agency was the confusion on all of the different credit scores out there. When a lender pulls your scores, they typically will use a FICO score, the Fair Isaacs Corporation, and their scoring model. When you pull your score online, you pull a consumer report. It doesn't hit you as an inquiry, but it also uses different scoring models, so you see different scores. To further complicate the matter, whenever you go to a particular lender, like an auto lender, they will often run their own scoring model that is weighted more heavily based on what you're applying for. So based on your car payment history, for this instance, it may alter your score up or down. So, which makes complete sense on the lender side and confuses the heck out of you as the consumer.
Exactly.
So, I would definitely recommend speaking to a credit consultant, a credit expert. My company has Improved My Credit USA, and shameless plug. We've been the consumer voted #1 credit repair company for the last 4 years in Texas.
You'll do a free assessment.
And we will absolutely do a free assessment. I've got guys that are in the office today. So you can actually call them and get a complimentary consultation. And we have a weekend number that you can call that I'm desperately searching for here.
He is desperately searching for it. I can vouch for that.
I never remember the weekend number.
Don't try this at home, folks.
Don't
We
try
are
this
professionals.
at home. Yeah.
713-936-0589. That is our weekend telephone number, so you can reach a live consultant. They will do a complimentary review of your situation. And if you have been compromised with identity theft, they can, whether you use us or not, we can point you in the right direction to deal with the fallout.
Okay, one more time with that number, please.
Absolutely. It's 713-936-0589.
Thank you.
Tell them Joe sent you.
You should have that on the wall in big.
Right.
There,
Thanks.
You bet. You know, something I wanted to get into, and I know we're coming up against the bottom of the hour hard break again, but when we come back, you know, the call that we had there, that's so common. I get that on our side all the time.
Right.
You the first little blip that hits your radar of something fishy going on, and unfortunately, a lot of times that is just the icing on the cake.
It's a tester.
There's a lot of stuff going on underneath. So that's on my side, dealing with the fallout.
Right.
When we come back from the break, let's talk about, you know, what both of you guys specialize in, is that an ounce of a prevention
is worth pounds of cure.
pounds of cure. So, you know, the show is what you don't know can hurt you. So when we come back, let's touch on those for both of you guys. I know that's some important stuff.
Another thing we want to touch on too is the different types of identity theft.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, we've got the music playing. That means we're up against the break.
But we'll be right back.
But we're not going to sing.
Right. We got to make the sponsors happy, so we will be right back.
The girl in the world is smiling 'cause she's in love with the man in the moon.